presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive, right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Citadel baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
March Madness has arrived. Greetings and good morning. Welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online and early, and very proudly presented by Motley Rice. Causes not just cases. MotleyRice.com, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at StokesVW.com. Happy St. Patrick's Day. What a day it is. Somebody out there is going to have a grand old time drinking green beer and maybe winning a bunch of money betting on March Madness games, which are set to get underway in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. 12:15 is the opening tip today. 11th seeded Michigan, 6th seeded Colorado State on CBS, followed up by South Dakota State and Providence at 12:40. We'll get you more of that schedule coming up here in just a little while. So we have made an executive decision because we don't work for anybody. We work for you, that's for sure. But we don't work for anybody else. And so Darren and I have decided that we're going to jet out of here at 11 o'clock this morning. I still have work to do anyways. Darren has work to do. And so you're going to get us for 1 full hour today. That's it. But John Whittle will be here at 10:30 to give us the latest scoop on the search for South Carolina's next head men's basketball coach. It is heating up quickly. You've probably read a bunch out there over the last 16, 18 hours or so, and he will have the latest here in just a little bit. So everybody hang tight. John is all over it. I will tell you, he is right in the thick of it. And so you'll get the real deal here in just a little while. Make sure you've downloaded our app, the JB and Goldwater app. Tell everybody about it. We would really appreciate that. You can watch, listen, comment, explore, check out our top prospects while you're in there. Palmetto Group Insurance, owned by Jamie Richardson. He can insure you like nobody can insure you here in the state of South Carolina. A wonderful person, an incredible business. He's right there in the top prospects on our app. Check out Vintage Brand if you want something new for South Carolina, for Clemson. Who do you pull for? Are you a Packers fan? Are you a Seahawks fan? Are you a Braves fan? Vintage gear right there in the app as well. Follow us on social media at JB and Goldwater, individually at Sports Media JB and at Darren Goldwater. All right, Darren, we're going to get to South Carolina in just a little bit. I do have some quick news. I'm going to pass this along from Hale McGranahan with thebigspur.com. It looks like Jaheim Bell is going to be out for the spring. The injury is not significant, but they have decided, oh, wait a second here. We're not gonna tempt that. He might be our best player, so they're gonna let him sit down. That's according to the BigSpur.com's Hale McGranahan. So we'll see. They say he'll be ready for summer workouts, but they're gonna let him heal and just kind of hang out for spring practice. So that's probably something people need to know. We figure we pass it along this morning. But with all that said, it's March Madness, Darren. What's up?
Oh, man. I mean, I went to bed last night just hoping to wake up this morning like immediately. Today, I've already railed to some of my friends. I'm angry. It's St. Patrick's Day. Get your own day. This is my day. This is basketball's day. Get your own day, St. Pat. This green is not for you. This green is for good luck. So is this bracelet. So is this watch and this bracelet. No. This is my day. Get your own day.
Yeah. I agree. It's like they just need to pick the same date every year. Just pick one date every year, whatever date you want to pick. St. Patrick's Day. Oh, or do they already do that? Is it March? Is it March 17th?
I think
Every year.
but move it. This is not your day today. This is not acceptable at all.
The
But
Irish,
we can all pool our luck together. How about that?
The Irish don't care about March Madness. This is their March Madness, actually. This is absolute. It's been March Madness forever. On St. Patrick's Day, this is their March Madness, their version of March Madness. Now it should be a special day. And look, it kind of started last night. I mean, are you kidding me? The double overtime, luck of the Irish, 89-87. A lot of points scored last night, by the way. The 16 play in 93-82, Wright State over Bryant. But then Notre Dame last night gets a double OT 2-point victory over Rutgers. Two teams that there's been we had the conversation about it, and I think plenty others out there have as well. Should A&M have been playing in that game last night over either one of those programs? But they weren't. They were in there, and it was 89-87. The final was an outstanding basketball game on the eve of the kind of kickoff or tip-off or whatever you want to call it to March Madness, Darren. It was fantastic. A lot of points.
Yeah, tons of points in the second one. I'll pat myself on the back here. I told you there'd be tons of points in the first one, and I thought Wright State would win. I had Rutgers winning the game in a lower scoring game, and that's what it was. And then it went to double overtime, so the game got up into the 80s. I loved Mike Bray afterwards, even though I just went on a rant about St. Patrick's Day. He is the coach of Notre Dame, so he has every right to scream Happy St. Patrick's Day when he's interviewed after a double overtime win in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I would say so. I would absolutely say so. We're going to get to all the games in just a minute, Darren, and then again, John Whittle coming up at 10:30. Let me get the news stuff out of the way, and then I'd certainly want to get into a lot of your thoughts. I know you've been studying this inside and out. Rafael Esparza will be with us tomorrow, so he'll give us a great peek at Friday's games and into the weekend. We will also tomorrow have now former Gamecock basketball assistant John Reynolds. He will join us at 10:30 tomorrow morning, so you'll probably want to be here for that one.
Yeah. I got a text from him this morning. I'm a free agent. Let's talk some ball. So we'll bring on a coach and talk some ball ahead of the second day of the tournament.
Absolutely. So we're going to be packed to. We'll be here for 2 hours tomorrow. I promise you that. All right. Quickly from baseball, we've all seen it now. Freddie is in that Dodger blue, and that hurts if you're a Braves fan. But that's where he's going, 6 years for $162 million. So he pretty much got what he was looking for. And Freddie Freeman will more than likely win a World Series this year. So congratulations to the Dodgers on being the 2022 champions. Baseball has added 30 doubleheaders to a revised 2022 slate. So they are doing everything they can to try to get all of the ball games in. They say they're going to get in 162. The players say we want our money. So they say, well, you better double dip. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. So added a bunch of doubleheaders to the slate. In addition, by the way, to those Friday night Apple games, which I am really ecstatic for. I'm really excited. I have Apple TV. I like baseball, and I would love to watch it on Friday nights. So thank you, Major League Baseball, for doing that. And Zach Greinke has signed a deal with the Kansas City Royals. That'll make their pitching staff better. And then one that really came out of the blue. 7 years, $182 million. Chris Bryant is headed to Denver to play for the Colorado Rockies, where the ball flies. So if he gets it up in the air, you might be looking at a 35-plus home run guy in Chris Bryant out there in the cool, crisp mountain air.
That one did come out of the blue. But then when I just sat back and looked at it, my first thought was exactly what you said. All right, Chris Bryant, Denver. Kind of like it. That'll be exciting. I mean, the fans will go to those games if it's an exciting team to watch. And all you got to do is put a little bit of power in that lineup, and it's an exciting team to watch. It's in a great part of Denver, too. So I like it. Good for Bryant. I don't think you're winning anything out there anytime soon, but have some fun and make some money.
Yeah. It's Colorado's kind of interesting because it was last year, right, when Nolan Arenado left. And then I think it was
before last season,
Before
right?
last season. Right?
Yeah.
And then, there's talk, and it's widely speculated that Trevor Story is going to be out in Colorado as well. He's going to go somewhere else. That's crazy to think about. But they've added Pop and Chris Bryant, and so he's the new third baseman for the Colorado Rockies. Which, by the way, you can get vintage Colorado Rockies gear on our app, the JB and Goldwater app, vintage brand right there on the front. So make sure that you check it out. Share Healthcare chat lines are open. Good to see all of y'all in there today. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all are right. Clint and Adam Spurrier and Muschamp certainly had their ways with injuries. That's for sure. Steve would tell you, but he just kind of explained it in his own terms. Yeah, he kind of got bonked in the head there. Yeah, he got tackled out there. He got tackled really hard, And then Muschamp, he's got an ankle. Meanwhile, he actually had a broken leg, and he's going to be out for the next 2 years. So thanks to Shane Beamer for trying to clean some of that up here and there when he can. All right, Darren, 10-10. One more quick note on the injury front. Yesterday, it was passed along to me. We didn't really get to it on the air because wanted to make sure that all this was confirmed, but I'm sure Mark Kingston will address more of it today. Carolina down another arm. Wesley Sweat is done for a while. Still being eval'd. How long? It'll be a while. Let's just say that. If they can get him back by the end of the year, that's really good news. You know why? Because he healed quick, and South Carolina is playing in June. At least that's my understanding to this point. So Wesley Sweat is another arm. But some of the additional information I received is that they really feel good about getting a couple of other arms back pretty soon. I think Brett Thomas and the Jones kid, Eli Jones, I believe. And then clearly waiting on Julian Bosnick as well. So another arm down, but they're trying to get a couple more up and running. College baseball will crank up again tomorrow with the weekend slate. Gamecocks in Knoxville to take on the 7th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers. Last night, the Citadel got off to a great start. They were up 3-0. The problem is that they were outscored 18-1 from there. The final score, the Longhorns win it down at the Joe 18-4, and they get to go home splitting the Palmetto State series, group of games, whatever. 1
and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3.
5. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
they're 2 and 3. Yeah.
So South Carolina as an entity.
Yeah.
Gamecocks, South Carolina as an entity turn them away. A collective group. That's a really bad spot the Citadel was in last night.
Oh,
Texas loses a series to South Carolina, then loses a game to the College of Charleston, and you get a midweek guy from the Citadel.
That was tough.
That's a bad spot, man.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate spot.
I was joking with Coop the other night because I've looked at it 1,000 times, Darren, but I guess it just never really registered. And I was texting with Blake Cooper when I was looking at the schedule and just a bunch of stuff. And I said, dude, y'all gonna play any conference games this year, or are you just gonna skip that part of the schedule? Because the Citadel, they got like St. Peter's or something this weekend, and then next weekend they go to Creighton. I'm like, when the hell does the conference slate start for the SoCon? It doesn't start till like April. I mean, how many teams are left in baseball in the SoCon? I guess that's true because I think there's only 8, so you only get about 7 weeks of conference play.
Well, that's a pretty good lead into March Madness. But before we get there, Creighton, don't they play at whatever TD Ameritrade is now?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good trip for the Citadel then. It's a good experience for them.
Oh, it's going to be greght. Yeah, they're really fired up to get their guys up there. And Creighton's got a, they're having an okay year. I mean, they're not bad. So, all right, into March Madness we go. 12:15 is when it starts today. Again, 11th-seeded Michigan versus 6th-seeded Colorado State. I have no idea how the seedings would have unfolded, Darren, but just for what it's worth, I had mentioned earlier that we could have seen A&M in a play-in game last night. If A&M had made the tournament, we certainly could see them in this game and taking the place of 11th seed in Michigan against Colorado State out of the Mountain West, which if I remember correctly, you kind of predicted yesterday it might be a tough skid for the Mountain West just based on their draws, right?
I did say that yesterday, and I'm holding firm to that. Although I do like San Diego State over Creighton today. I don't love them. I'm aligned with Raphael there. I watched one of his 45-minute YouTube things last night. So
those are
I'm
good, by the way.
Yeah, I'm leaning San Diego State there, and I changed my mind this morning on Colorado State and Michigan. I was on Michigan, and then I settled back on Colorado State for two reasons. Number one, they have a coaching advantage. Nico Medved is a better coach than Juwan Howard. And number two, there's just all this they didn't get out there in time. There was this fluff about the NCAA kind of botching their travel, and I think that rallies Colorado State. I think they're ready for this. Their best guy is a big guy on the inside. If he can match up with Dickinson in there, if he can hold his own, maybe I don't know if you're going to outplay Dickinson in there, but if he can solidify that, I've got Colorado State there, even though as the 6, they are an underdog. I have a lot of underdogs individually today. A lot.
Yeah, and they're the underdog. I think Michigan is just a 1-point favorite in the game.
Yes.
But I'm with you. I'm leaning on you for all the betting stuff, but I did, just for what anybody that cares, I picked Colorado State in my bracket. That one's going to be followed up though, Darren, with a 1240 tip from Buffalo on True TV by 13th seeded South Dakota State and 4th seeded Providence. We've seen some 13-4 upsets over the year, and the line in the game is Providence just a 2-point favorite, but I like Providence. I just don't see it.
So everyone, and I mean everyone, is on South Dakota State. I understand why. I understand the logic. The logic is they're one of the best offenses in the country. They play at a really fast tempo. They bomb threes in there. They destroyed people all year long. I get it. Providence has been lucky all year long, and the analytics have not liked Providence all year long. People have been betting against them all year because, well, when's their luck going to run out? And now those people can sit back and say, see, they were exposed in the Big East tournament. I'm not there. There's too many people on the side of South Dakota State. One of my bigger bets today is Providence, because when everyone and their brother and their mother, everyone is on this upset, I'm going the other way. It's uncomfortable how much love South Dakota State is getting.
I agree. I've got Providence. I think Providence wins. I think it's probably a good game, but at the end of the game, they'll pull away. Probably get a little bit of a foul contest, and they'll pull away and they'll win.
And here's another reason why I like Providence there. I agree with you. I think it's a close game. And you know who's the best at close games in the country?
Providence.
Yes. I like Providence.
They've done it all year. I know.
Yes.
Like every game's a nail biter for Providence.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I agree.
Yes.
145 tip on TNT from Portland, 9th seeded Memphis and 8th seeded Boise State. By the way, Andy Katz will be working that game, so be interested to see him on the sideline. Again, here's your Mountain West, but I like Memphis at the 9.
So I forgot this, and we were talking about this before. I jumped on Boise +3 in this game. And again, leaning on who's my better coach here. Rice is a much better coach than Penny Hardaway is. Penny is still complaining about stuff, about the matchup. There's just, I don't know. I can see Boise, a very good defensive team. This line has already shrunk. It was like at 5, and there's a lot of movement here on Boise. And I jumped into that movement, actually, because I just think if you can frustrate this Memphis team, then I think they can lose their head a little. The talent is obviously on the Memphis side. The coaching advantage and the poise, that's on Boise State side. They're both hot coming in. They're both like, ever since about 10, 12 games ago when Penny kind of got into his guys, they've played very, very well. Didn't play well against Houston in the championship game there, but have played well. I think Boise frustrates them and gets to them. I think Memphis wins the game. But I did flip-flop over to Boise and the points and Boise in my bracket. So I actually have 3 Mountain West teams in the first round. I've changed my thought there.
Well, I got Memphis too. I think it's going to be a spectacular basketball game, to be honest with you. It's a 3-point favorite is Memphis, and I think the over-under in that game is 133 and a half.
Oh, I'm wrong about the line actually opened at 2, and people jumped in on Memphis to 3, and that's when I went in on Boise at 3.
At 3, I got you. You said hot. Speaking of which, Allie LaForce will work the sidelines for this one. TBS at 2:00 today. 16th seeded Norfolk State and top seeded Baylor. Baylor will win the game in Fort Worth, Texas. The question is, do they cover the 20.5?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. That's another one I really like. I'm only on just even looking at it. I'm only on probably 3 or 4 favorites actually today so far. But this one I like. Do I think Baylor wins by 20.5 without their leading rebounder in this game? Nope. No, I don't.
He was announced out yesterday. Was it yesterday? Or the day
I
before?
believe so. It was yesterday or 2 days ago. And I've read conflicting things about how far he's out. The first thing was, he's probably back. And then I read something today saying could be out for the tournament. I'm not sure where that stands.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that stands.
The original report was just the weekend.
Yeah.
But maybe longer. 2:45 on CBS today. Game 2 for the Eagle, Spinarkle, and Jamie Erdahl group on in Indianapolis. 14th seeded Longwood and 13th seeded Tennessee. Like Longwood, they've had a great year, and I really appreciate what they've done, but it will end today. Tennessee is really, really good. They're the 3 seed, and they're 18-point favorites.
I think Tennessee wins the game. Another one I really, really like is Longwood plus the points. In his last 13 tournament games, Rick Barnes is a stellar 1-11-1 against the spread in his last 13 games. And everyone loves Tennessee because they just played really well. And most people don't even know who or what Longwood is. I love plus 18 right there. But yes, Tennessee should win that game.
Longwood is the former school of Ryan Mao, who was the head baseball coach there for a while, former right-handed pitcher at the College of Charleston. 3:10 today on True TV from Buffalo. It's probably warm in March up there, I would imagine. A 12-5, the classic 12-5 matchup here. Darren, Iowa as the 5th seed, Richmond as the 12th seed. Who you got?
Again, plus the points, but I like Iowa. Iowa, they're hot, right? You want to talk about hot? Iowa's hot. I do think their defense will allow Richmond to stay in this game. Richmond's efficient offensively. They can hit some shots. There's a big pick and roll element in there as well with Richmond. And Iowa's defense is not good. I mean, that's been their problem all year long. Yeah, they're hot, but sooner or later, all their shots aren't going to go in. And someone's going to be able to hang around. I think Richmond's able to hang around in this game. I like Iowa, but I like Richmond in the points.
Does Gonzaga cover against Georgia State?
I didn't play that game. Probably
22 and a half.
Probably. I have Gonzaga winning it all, I think, but that's one of the few I will not play today.
Hey, all you guys in our Share Healthcare chat lines, it's so great to see all of you, but I love all of that. I forgot about you for a minute. If you've downloaded the app and enabled your notifications, you wouldn't have forgotten because we sent a notification that said we'll see you at 10 a.m. So if you haven't done that, shame on all of you. I'm just kidding. We love all y'all. All right. And then finally, the final game of the afternoon slate here, 9th seeded Marquette, 8th seeded North Carolina. And again, Allie LaForce will be in this one. North Carolina is a 3.5-point favorite at 4:30 on TBS. I don't know. This is just me. I'm not a betting guy, but if I was one, I'd stay away from it because I just don't trust North Carolina at all.
I agree with you. This was a hard one for me. I ended up going in on it. And I went against analytics on it. I'm going against analytics a couple times, at least today. But here's the logic for me. I think North Carolina's size is going to be a little bit too much for Marquette. Early in the season, I loved Marquette, but they kind of ran out of steam a little bit. Having said that, I'll take Shaka in the tournament over Davis all day. So I was in between on this one. And at the end, I just decided, look, if North Carolina is on their game, they're going to be way too much for Marquette to handle. So I went in on North Carolina as the favorite in this game.
Oh, well, there you go. Darren, you better hope you're right. All right, the evening games here starting at 6:50. 12th seeded New Mexico State and 5th seeded UConn on TNT from Buffalo. UConn is a 6.5-point favorite.
Yeah, here's another really interesting one. New Mexico State, most people haven't seen. I've only actually seen them play once, I believe, maybe twice into the tournament. There's a lot of love for New Mexico State. UConn in this game is on upset alert. I haven't played this game yet. If I do, it'll be New Mexico State. I almost picked New Mexico State in the bracket. I think it's a close game. I really think it's a close game. That line's been shrunk just a little bit as well.
There's your 12-5 upset if you get one. I wasn't in love with the 12-5 matchups this year for whatever reason, Darren. I did pick one. I did not pick this one, but I did pick one. UAB is who I took.
So it stinks that UAB got Houston because that's one where I think UAB is good enough to make a little noise. But it stinks that they got Houston. The advantage, I don't hate your pick, though, at all, because Houston hasn't played well against good teams this year. They haven't. They really haven't until they got Memphis there at the end of the tournament. Houston, their numbers are great. They haven't played well against good teams. So I can see it happening. I have Houston knocked out in the second round, maybe third.
Okay. All right. St. Peter's, Kentucky in the 15-2 today. I have Kentucky winning the national championship, so I sure as hell hope to lose to 15th seeded St. Peter's at 7-10 tonight on CBS. But did they cover the 18?
No, I'm on St. Peter's in that game already. There's some size there for St. Peter's. They can slow the game down. I agree with the logic of, why should Calipari really hold his foot down with some of his guys who have been banged up throughout the year? How much are they going to go if this thing gets out of hand, which it probably will at some point? When are they going to sit down? I have St. Peter's. Kentucky's going to win the game. I have St. Peter's there, and I agree with what Adam Jarrett just popped in. Indiana will be the 12-5. I do like Indiana over St. Mary's, but they had travel nightmare. Their plane after their first 4 win was delayed. I don't think they got in till 4. They've played a bunch of games in the last 6-7 days. There's a lot on St. Mary's there, but I'm on Indiana.
Indiana is a 2.5 point dog in the game. 7:20 tonight on TBS, 7:27 on True TV, and 9-8 Creighton and San Diego State from Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas, Darren, and San Diego State's a 2-point favorite.
Low scoring game. The total in this game is like 120. Both of these teams are rocks on defense, and when it plays that way for San Diego State, I mean, it could be 50-40. It's happened before this year. It's happened a couple.
Would you go under that 121?
Tournament play under, yeah. But here, so I was listening to Good Logic this morning. Conference tournament play and NCAA tournament play is just a little bit different here because now you're playing for your life. So if you want to play unders, and this was really good advice, play first half unders, because as it gets to the end of the game, even in a blowout, there's going to be fouls and there's going to be free throws, and there could be 10 points on the board in the final 60 seconds because of that. So if you like unders, first half unders are a very smart way to play that.
Okay.
All right. Like that logic.
Do you like overs like Vermont and Arkansas, 9:20 tonight on TNT? Vermont, the 13 seed, and Arkansas, the 4 seed. The over-under in this one is 139. But we all know if the Hogs get going, they will go.
How about this? I have Vermont winning the game.
Oh.
So I'm on Vermont plus the 5, and that's one of my upset picks. Vermont's can score with the best of them. B, their transition defense is very, very good, and that's what Arkansas does best. If you saw what Vermont did in the regular season and then into the tournament championship, they are killing people. Obviously, there's going to be an athleticism disadvantage and a size disadvantage, but if they can slow down Arkansas, and I think they can, that's one of my upset picks. I'm not loving it, but I would have Arkansas bounced in the next round anyway. I do like the plus 5, though. So there
you go.
That one surprised me too when I was going through it.
Yeah, I don't have that, but no. I trust you, and one of us is going to be right tomorrow. That's what we know. 9:40 tonight on CBS. South Carolina basketball fans maybe need to keep an eye on this one. Why? Because it's 10th seeded San Francisco and 7th seeded Murray State, coached by Matt McMahon, who is a name on the board of the Gamecocks. If it gets to tonight, which we're going to get an update on in just a few minutes from John Whittle with the Big Spur, Matt McMahon, I don't know, could be a free agent tomorrow. Who knows if his season comes to a close. But will it be is the question. They're 2-point favorites. Again, a 9:40 tip on CBS.
They opened.
By the way, they are 30-2 this year.
Yes, they are. They opened as underdogs to San Francisco, and this was bet the other way, hard and fast. And I got in on this one early with Murray State. I actually got it as a pick. Now it's at -2. San Francisco's big guy's not in there either. I love Murray State in this spot. I sat and debated Murray State, Kentucky for a little while, and then settled with my common sense logic of I think Kentucky's a much better team overall. But I like Murray State here. There's a lot of, I'll tell you, as much as there's people on South Dakota State, Providence, equally as many people on Murray State, San Francisco. It's just not getting the, I think, national attention.
Okay. All right. And finally here, Darren, Akron and UCLA, maybe the most mismatched 4-13 matchup in the tournament, potentially. I think it's a 13.5, 14-point spread right now. It's a 9:50 tip on TBS, and then 9:57 tonight is top-ranked or top-seeded Kansas and 16th-seeded Texas Southern. Kansas is a 21.5-point favorite, and that one, does Kansas cover? And what happens in the 4-13?
I think Kansas covers, but I don't think I'm playing that one either. And Akron should cover this. Their coach, A, is really good. He's got a history of success in the tournament. B, they're playing very well down the stretch in that MAC. They covered and won. Every game is an underdog in that MAC tournament. I think they keep this thing close. I think UCLA skates out of here with a single-digit win. So I'm on Akron.
That is your first-round slate. In March Madness, your complete first-round slate. Again, 12:15 is when the first tip will go off from Indianapolis on CBS, and it'll wrap up tonight around midnight with the final game being played in Fort Worth, Texas. It is time for our only timeout of the afternoon because we're going to get out of here at 11 o'clock this morning. But guess who's next? John Whittle with the Big Spur. We've got a full update on the Gamecock basketball coaching search. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road. You know what happens when you sell record numbers of new vehicles? That's right, we take in record numbers of local trades. Despite what the news is saying, quality pre-owned vehicles really aren't that hard to find. You just need to know where to look. Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate and on the web at stokesvw.com. We've got over 1,200 pre-owned cars, trucks, SUVs, and all at a fraction of the price when new. Every vehicle has been inspected and reconditioned, many with the balance of factory warranty. Best of all, at Stokes Volkswagen, you don't need perfect credit to get approved for a quality pre-owned vehicle. And we'll take any trade in any condition, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy a car from us. You're going to love our pre-owned selection, I guarantee it. So come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate or stokesvw.com.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Negative trade equity finance to new loan, subject to lender approval.
People don't like to get stuck in traffic, stuck in the mud, stuck at work. And two others you probably don't think much about: stuck with a big medical bill or stuck with a healthcare program that doesn't fit who you are. Experience true medical freedom with Share Healthcare. More affordable, more options, user-friendly, and biblically sound. You can join right now. Explore a new way to show you care with Share Healthcare. Join us today at sharehealthcare.com. sharehealthcare.com.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
It's the best time of the year on the sports calendar, and there's no better place to soak it all in than your spring headquarters. Dog and Duck with 3 area locations in Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road. Until May, $5 pints of Wicked Weed Brews and Devil's Backbone. Again, until May. Patio seating, happy hour daily, family bingo on Monday, the Duck Truck Double Burger every Wednesday, rib night on Friday. It's the place to be for the best wings in town, the best sports everywhere you look. Dog and Duck, 3 area locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road.
Motley Rice LLC is a law firm with international reach, but it hasn't lost its Carolina roots. The Motley Rice team fights every day for people harmed by products including asbestos and talc exposure, medical drugs and devices, and also catastrophic injuries and auto recalls, including dangerous Takata airbags. Motley Rice is headquartered in Mount Pleasant at 28 Bridgeside Boulevard. Visit motleyrice.com. Thank you, Motley Rice, for supporting the JB and Goldwater Show and the Big Gamecock Preview Show.
Okay, what's going on today, huh? Anything to talk about?
All right, greetings and a good Monday afternoon. Greetings and a good Tuesday afternoon. Greetings and a good Wednesday afternoon, and welcome aboard. All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon. Greetings and a good Friday afternoon, and welcome aboard. 10:35 in the morning. We're not used to getting up this early, Darren, on a March Madness Thursday, dreary kind of day out there, but this guy is always here to lighten the mood and lighten the skies. It's John Whittle with thebigspur.com. There's a big story going on in Columbia. The Gamecocks are searching for their next head basketball coach, and he's been right in the thick of it, and hopefully he'll provide us a nice update this morning. Hey, John.
Well, good morning, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Well, we appreciate you just, getting up. I've texted one of your media colleagues or peers, I would say, before, works for I'll just say who it is. His name's Mikey Uva at 10:30 in the morning, and he responded at 11:30 because he just woke up. That's not the Whittle way, is it?
Well, I'm not up before the sun, but I'm usually up before noon. So,
yeah.
So we're this is the season right now where everything's busy. We got a basketball coach search going on. You got spring football practice, which I just left a few minutes ago, and obviously baseball is getting in the thick of it. So there's really not a lot of rest going on at this point in time.
No, there's not. There's especially for somebody like you that covers all of it, there needs to be more than one. All right, John, everybody wants to I'm just kidding, Craig. I get up I got twin 3-year-olds. I'm up at 5:30 every morning, wide awake, sitting here just waiting on the sun to come up. All right, John, everybody wants to
yourself.
Yeah. You
made that decision.
That's right. That's right. Oh, I own it.
It's on you.
There's no doubt. I own it. Just makes staying up late on March Madness Thursday and Friday nights a little bit more difficult. All right, John, give us the latest. Clearly, the center of the conversation right now, everything has been circling around Sean Miller. So give us the latest.
Yeah, that's certainly the buzz right now. Starting yesterday, late afternoon, probably yesterday or late morning, actually. He's somebody that South Carolina has wanted to go through the process with, and obviously you have to figure out if that's the guy that you want. He's got some baggage, obviously, and you got to go through the process with him and see if he's the right fit. And South Carolina has done that, and it sounds like that they're still very, very interested in him. I don't know that it's quite the slam dunk that was kind of thought to be portrayed last night, or that was being portrayed last night. But it's something that's certainly very real. There's certainly very, very real interest on both sides there. South Carolina hasn't narrowed it down to just him in terms of being the only candidate that they have gone through the process with. They're not putting all their eggs in that basket right now. Like I believe that he's the top target, and I believe that there's interest on both sides. But South Carolina doesn't want to get caught with his pants down if Sean Miller decides he wants to go to Xavier or wants to wait on a different job. So they've lined up interviews with some other guys too, but they like Sean Miller, and the Xavier opening has certainly thrown a wrench into things as well. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces to this, and if it wasn't, it wouldn't be a good coaching search. If it was just Sean Miller and that's it, and then you if something happens and you're scattered, that's not a good search. There's got to be a lot of moving parts, and there are.
Let me ask you something about the Xavier thing, because my opinion on Miller for South Carolina flipped when I heard JB told me yesterday when it happened, and I didn't even realize Xavier fired their coach. And my first reaction, I hadn't seen or heard anything, was, well, I bet you Sean Miller is going to be high on that list. And then as I thought about that, in my head, I'm thinking I think he'd be a good fit for Xavier, which then turned to, well, then why not South Carolina? Because if that's one of the best coaches out there and that's the climate of the game, then why not? How did it affect the search, though? Because my hunch is that helped prompt Xavier's push out the door.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I was told that by multiple people yesterday. Last night was that South Carolina's interest is what prompted Xavier to move when it did. I mean, there's no really other good explanation. I mean, you can say that they were in the process of getting Board of Trustees approval to fire him, whatnot. That's not really the way it works. You know, you see more often than not that coaches are fired pretty immediately after a season, whether it's the day after or a couple of days after, 3 days after. You know, it's not. It doesn't take that long. You don't enter yourself into a tournament, win a game, and then fire a guy. But you just don't do that. South Carolina's approach for Sean Miller is certainly what prompted that. They feel they have to feel like they've got a great shot at getting him with moving on from Steele in the manner that they did, because he hasn't been terrible up there. They didn't finish. They didn't finish the season well. I think they started out 16-5 and maybe finished 18-13, something along those lines. So they weren't terrible. And, you know, the feeling up there, at least amongst at least within the basketball program, was they felt pretty good about being back next season. So took him off guard. But, you know, South Carolina's approach for Sean Miller certainly had ramifications on what Xavier did with its coach.
John, is it fair to say if Sean Miller decides today, this morning, whenever, hey, I want to come to South Carolina, that the search is over?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, South Carolina's got some other interviews lined up, but if Sean Miller says yes, and that would be, I would certainly anticipate South Carolina going ahead and moving on that. And, you know, I don't know with 100% certainty if Sean Miller's got that job offer in his pocket right now. I would imagine that South Carolina has at least conveyed that they want to get this thing done. But I can't sit here and say 100% he's got, you know, 5 years, $3 million a year on the table or whatever it might end up being. But I'm fairly confident if Sean Miller calls up Ray Tanner and says this morning, let's do this, then they'll get it done.
How long would you, or what does your intel or your sources, how have they indicated how long Coach Tanner and the administration at South Carolina, Chance Miller, I read your report, I think, John, I'm pretty sure that was you that mentioned Chance and how involved he's been. How long would you guess maybe that they have been targeting Sean Miller? I mean, he was fired last year. Just to kind of revisit this, last year there was a lot of smoke around Frank Martin potentially losing his job in Columbia, and that did not happen, obviously, as he stayed on for another season. So how long do you know of that he has been on the Gamecocks radar?
I don't know that he was on there last year, but I know that he's been on there the entirety of this year. It wasn't a name that popped up in the middle of the search. It was one, you know, obviously it's my job to kind of have some idea and background of what's going on, you know, before it happens. And, you know, South Carolina has you know, anticipated potentially having to make a move. And, you know, you start vetting candidates and start paying attention to what other coaches are doing, you know, long before the season is over, right? So, you know, I knew that Sean Miller would be on the board, you know, probably at least a few weeks ago, a month ago, perhaps, that he would be somebody that South Carolina would be really interested in going through the process with. And, you know, that's ultimately, you know, what's gone on is they've gone through the process with him and feel good about you know, the past issues that he had at Arizona. There's some things that he did that, you know, are basically legal now. There's some things that, and I say his coaches, I believe that it's only his assistant coaches that were implicated in most of those violations. So when I say he, I mean his assistants. But some of those things are basically legal now, and some are not. But I definitely think that he's been on there for a while, and there's been some other candidates, Dennis Gates and Matt McMahon and Bob Ritchie, and I mean, there have been a few other guys who South Carolina were really high on last year and remain high on this year as well.
John Whittle with the Big Spur, 10:44 a.m. here on the JB and Goldwater Show. So we're basically in wait and see mode on Sean Miller. And John, as these things often happen, news could pop at any point in time. It could be while we're on the air, it could be tonight, could be tomorrow. You did mention, though, and it's such a great point, and I think that people need to continue to focus on this, that if this doesn't happen, there are other candidates, and there are other good candidates, and South Carolina is not going to be necessarily in a rush, although, as you also pointed out, John, which is entirely correct, they would like to get this done and over with so they can move forward with their basketball program. But list some of those candidates for us and kind of provide some background as to why there wouldn't – I mean, I'm trying to figure out how the best way to say this here, but why there isn't a rush just to – like if they don't sign Sean Miller, they're not just going to go sign the next guy. They are going to continue with an interview process. So kind of walk us down that road as to why that would be.
Yeah, well, there's – I guess one way to describe it is, South Carolina has – I guess been burned a little bit in Ray Tanner's first coaching search, and that went through Tom Herman and Kirby Smart. Because the deal was basically done with Kirby Smart, and then Georgia fired Mark Richt to hire Kirby. And when that happened, it left South Carolina really scattered on where to go, what to do. It basically had to reset the search. That's not really what's going to happen this time around. They've gone through the process, set up some interviews with some other folks. So, it's going to be much more. It's going to be much more organized than maybe Ray Tanner's first ever coaching search hire, which ended up in Will Muschamp. But there are several candidates out there that, like I said, have been on the radar for a while, and just to kind of go through some of those, Matt McMahon at Murray State, he's one who's actually still playing, and if South Carolina wants to interview him and sit down with him, it's probably going to be next week. I think they play tonight and Sunday, or tonight and Saturday, excuse me. San Francisco tonight, I believe, and would be Kentucky if they win. So, it's likely that he'll be available to talk next week. If they end up making the Sweet 16, then you got to figure out whether he's worth waiting another week and keeping your program in flux for that much longer. Plus, he's Missouri's top choice right now, and he's on Florida's board as one of their top guys. So, you're going to be battling them with those guys. Dennis Gates from Cleveland State. He spoke with Georgia, from what I understand. His team was in the NIT and was eliminated last night or 2 days ago. But he's somebody that South Carolina is going to interview. BJ Mackey, the assistant up at Wake, and of course a South Carolina great. He's going to interview Bob Ritchie. It's been reported by Phil Kornblut and Pete Hannity that he's going to interview. I haven't been able to confirm that specifically, but there's no doubt in my mind that one's going to happen as well. And that's all assuming that Sean Miller isn't hired before then, obviously. But there have been some other names floated around. I think those guys that we've talked about are probably the next tier, right below Sean Miller. Maybe throw Lamont Harris in there from Chattanooga as well.
John Whittle with the Big Spur, almost 10:50 here in the morning on the JB and Goldwater Show, ahead of March Madness today. That's why we're on the air a little bit early. So you can he's kind of laid it out for you here. It's essentially going to be Sean Miller's to take, and then on to the next pool of candidates. Let's kind of circle back a little bit, John, and because I think you mentioned something very important. And it is so worth talking about for people that would be willing to listen to this. And I think your reference to the 2015 search for a football coach under Coach Tanner is perfect. That is when a lot of the fan base lost faith in Coach Tanner and his ability to conduct a quality search for the head coaching position for the football team. And then after that, I mean, everything was questioned. And here we are again. We're kind of in the same space. And it's almost like, well, if he doesn't land Sean Miller, it's the same type thing as Kirby Smart, Ray Tanner, whatever people are going to say. They're going to find a way to criticize him or find a reason to criticize him if he doesn't get that first name on the board, which is the biggest name probably now in the country in coaching searches, in Sean Miller. So what would you say to that crowd? Like, how would you describe this situation? If Sean Miller does not end up at South Carolina, how much of that is on Coach Tanner?
I mean, I don't think a lot. Xavier is a great basketball program. As much as South Carolina folks don't want to hear it, Xavier's probably twice the job that South Carolina is. And you think SEC money, and sure, you can throw $8 million at Sean Miller if you really, really wanted to. But any kind of reasonable financial offer, Xavier's going to match. If Sean Miller needs $3 million to go up there, then Xavier will get him $3 million. If he wants 3.5, he'll get 3.5. If he wants 4, he'll get 4. Like that's and he's got a history there. He's won there. He knows that landscape. There are a lot of appealing things about Xavier basketball that are true. And if that's what he opts for, it doesn't mean that Ray Tanner has necessarily failed. It just means that a guy wanted to go to a different place that's probably at least a little bit better. So that's part of it. That's part of being an athletics director in this day and age. You get criticized no matter what. And, obviously that Muschamp search didn't go well. Some of the other coaching searches have, and he gets criticized a little bit for not landing Kevin O'Sullivan. The guy won a national championship at Florida that year, and he tried his darndest to pull him, and it just didn't work out. If Florida had lost in that super regional to Wake Forest like they almost did, and there's no doubt in my mind that Kevin O'Sullivan would be the head coach here. And it's crazy how one moment or one game can change something so much. Like one of the top candidates on South Carolina's board is Bob Ritchie, at Furman, and people will reject him for not making an NCAA tournament. And is Bob that much worse of a coach because that guy for Chattanooga hit a 35-foot prayer at the end of a game to punch his team's ticket and keep Furman at home? I don't know, man, but it certainly doesn't seem that way to me. But there's going to be a viewpoint from some folks out there that Bob is not as good of a coach because he hadn't been to a tournament because that guy made that shot. So it's amazing how one event can change the course of a coaching search or what have you. But Ray's going to get some heat regardless of who he hires. There's people who aren't going to want Sean Miller because of the baggage that he has and for other reasons. So, regardless of who he hires, there's going to be some backlash from some folks, but that's just kind of part of it.
Is it fair, John, to say the longer this goes, the less likely it is that South Carolina lands Sean Miller?
Yeah, I would think so. Xavier knows kind of exactly what they want to do and exactly where they want to go. And, they haven't had as much time as South Carolina has. And, I don't think that, the amount of time that South Carolina had, if they had moved on him earlier, so to speak, that would have changed things with him. If say South Carolina offered him the job on Monday, guess what was going to happen? Sean Miller's agent, Sean Miller himself, would call up Xavier and say, "Hey, I got this job offer from South Carolina. What are y'all going to do?"
Right.
That's basically what happened yesterday with Miller and Xavier. I mean, as I understand it, he basically got that job opened up. So, I do think that Xavier's probably in pole position to get him, but it may take a little bit more time. So I do think the longer it goes on, the less chance it's going to be South Carolina.
All right, finally, as we wrap up with you, John, BJ Mackey is a name that's been thrown around out there. No head coaching experience, certainly knows this state inside and out, and absolutely knows that program. Could you provide some look, we never know. You never know. I mean, BJ could walk in and interview with Coach Tanner if Sean Miller doesn't work out or Matt McMahon doesn't work out or somebody else, and absolutely floor him, blow him away, and he could end up being the greatest coach in the history of the program. Nobody ever knows, as Mike Morgan often says, coaching it's all a wild card. You never know how it's going to work out. But with that being said, Coach Tanner has kind of made a point to say, look, we're looking for somebody who's won. We're looking for somebody with head coaching experience. BJ does not have any head coaching experience. There has already been criticism of, why would you even consider BJ Mackey? Why would you even interview him? We need somebody who's bigger than that, better than that, bolder than that. John, give us the reasons why you would interview BJ Mackey.
He's BJ Mackey, and he's
no kidding.
He's an assistant coach who recruits this area and knows this area, knows what it takes to win at South Carolina. He's entrenched in the history of the program and the current of the program in terms of just being involved in wanting Gamecock athletics to be successful. And he's worked with a winning coach in Steve Forbes for a long time. And is he going to be South Carolina's next head coach? I'd say 99% no. But South Carolina's gonna go into that conversation with an open mind and listen to what he has to say. And obviously there are shortcomings, and BJ will get a chance to address those questions, and see in South Carolina will listen and see what comes out of it. But there's a respect thing there, and it's not like Ray Tanner's interviewing a dozen guys, 15 guys. It might be a half a dozen that it ends up being. And that's not atypical. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't even know that it's going to be that much, but it's worth going through it with BJ, and I don't see any harm in it.
I don't either. Yeah, John, these ADs oftentimes it's not really a token interview, but sometimes you learn a little bit more about yourself and your program when you interview people that might seem, not untraditional or something like that. I mean, you bring in BJ Mackey, you're going to interview him, but you're also probably trying to get some information out of BJ Mackey as to what you think you need to do next. And who knows, guys, BJ Mackey might be ready to be a head coach in 5 years, and Carolina might need another one. So you don't turn that down. You don't turn your back on the legends of the program like that. And we'll just have to see where it goes. All right. So safe to say we're on Sean Miller watch. What's that?
I think that last point is certainly true, because BJ does seem to be a guy who's going to move up the ranks and be a head coach at some point. And like you said, you don't want to burn that bridge, and it may not be this time around, but it might be next time around that you really want him. So, go through the process with him and see what happens.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Everything he's given to this school, his damn jersey hangs in the rafters. It's not like he's in insurance and he's just decided he wanted to coach. I mean, he's at Wake. You interview him.
Like he said, he's BJ Mackey.
Yeah, he's BJ Mackey. You interview him. And he knows every coach in the state. Guys named Carlos Powell and Melvin Watson and Larry Davis. He knows all the AAU guys. You interview those guys. You got to figure out how you need to win at South Carolina, and I bet BJ might have an idea or two. All right, so we're on Sean Miller watch until we're not, right, John?
That's what it sounds like to me.
You are the best, my friend. Big weekend for Carolina baseball, trying to go back-to-back with top 10 series victories. This one, though, would be on the road in Knoxville. I hope they're not taking I-40. It's closed in one part. They're going to need to go around. And we got basketball. We got football. Whew. Man, get some sleep, brother. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully you get to watch some of these March Madness games.
Well, I appreciate you telling me I-40's closed. I guess I got to start looking around for the way to get up there.
Seriously, hey, the I-40, like not far after Mackey Valley, when you're going up to pull up your Google Maps, you'll see it.
Like a
it's
rock
closed
slide?
until like early May. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing there, but you're gonna have to find a route around that. So check it out first.
Maybe I'll just check with JC and see if I can get the big Spur helicopter to go up there.
Call Beamer. Where's the cock chopper? That's sitting around somewhere, isn't it?
Oh, the cock chopper. You boys have a good day.
Yeah.
See you, brother. There you go. John Whittle arriving in the cock chopper to cover Gamecock baseball. Whatever. All right.
Let's go.
We are we're off and headed into March Madness, and we are, as John Willard. He would laugh if he heard me call John Willard. John Whittle said, we are on Sean Miller watch until we're not. We'll see. There you go, David. Exit 307. You get off and get back. Okay. So it's not far. You're just getting off and then you're going around is what you're saying. Gotcha.
There you go.
Well, I'll be up in Mackey Valley next weekend, so I'll go up there and check it out and make sure everything's okay. All right, everybody, have a wonderful Thursday. We're back tomorrow at 10 a.m. John Reynolds, former assistant Gamecock basketball coach, will join us. Rafael Esparza will join us. It's full poke. Have fun. See you tomorrow.